Solving the Sally Ries problem. Now, the Sally Ries t-shirt problem is at heart a income statement problem because she's trying to figure out what to do to maximize the amount of money she's going to make. So since it's an income statement problem, first let me go ahead and put the bones of an income statement down. So revenue, cost of goods sold, gross profit, expenses, total expenses, net profit, taxes. Though the case doesn't really mention them, I always like to put them in. And net profit after taxes. Now, and I know certain things about this already. So like I know net profit after taxes is equal to net profit minus taxes. I know total expenses is equal to the sum of my expenses, however many those should be. I know net profit is equal to gross profit minus total expenses. And I know that gross profit is equal to revenue minus cost of goods sold. Now there's one other thing that I know. I know that there's going to be a price, and I know that there's going to be a quantity, and I know that revenue is going to be in some fashion equal to price times quantity. Now right now, you would have points for knowing the relationship between revenue, cost of goods sold, and profit. You would have points for knowing the relationship between gross profit, total expenses, and net profit. You would have points for knowing the relationship between net profit after taxes, net profit, and taxes. And finally, you would have points for knowing that revenue is based on price and quantity. Now, in this particular problem, the problem gets a little more involved, but right there, without even pretty much knowing anything about having anything about the case in your model, there are certain points, about 15 if I'm not mistaken, that you already have. Now, the other thing is, because it's a case, there's going to be a certain number of facts. So I'm going to put the facts of my case over here. I have a minimum run of shirts, which was 500. In order to print the shirts, the setup for the printing is $600, and cost per shirt printed is $5. There is a royalty on each shirt. I can't spell. There's royalty on each shirt of $2 per shirt. There's a vendor permit of $5.75. There's a min price for each shirt of $10 and a max price for each shirt of $50. And if she sells more t-shirts than she can sell, then she can sell them at a 75% discount at a local shop. So local shop discount is 75%. And since I already have a field for price, I can go ahead and say local shop price is equal to the real price times 1 minus the discount. So 75% off. I know if I was charging $10 for the shirt, the local shop price is $2.50. If I was charging $100 for the shirt, which I really am not supposed to do, the local shop price would be $25. Got it? Let's see what other facts there are. Now there's the issue of advertising. If she uses the advertising, so the using advertising sales, percentage. If she uses the advertising, she will sell shirts to 15% of the people at the show. If she doesn't use advertising, she will only sell to 9% of the people that go to the show. And the attendance, the ticket, says the show sold out at 10,000 tickets. So there'll be 10,000 people there, give or take. Now, the cost to get this advertising, there's the base cost for advertising, which is $500. And then there's the percentage cost for advertising of 5%. And her budget, the money that she has to start off with, is $5,000. So she's limited on how many t-shirts she can order. And finally, because I have taxes over here, I'm going to head and have a field for my default tax rate. And I'm going to say 35%. Okay. Now, what else do we have? We have, when we look at the case, he has to decide, she has to decide on the price. She has to decide on advertising, whether to get it or not. And she has to decide on shirts to order. How many shirts to order? And we have an additional assumption that isn't actually a number, but because she has a budget and the budget limits the number of shirts that she can order, she is in a situation where she initial order cannot exceed budget. Now, if I wanted, I could go ahead and have a field here and say cost of shirts ordered. And when we look at what the shirts cost, it said the shirts cost the amount of the setup, which is $600, times the cost per shirt. I'm sorry, plus the cost per shirt times the shirts ordered. Now, here's something that we really need to pay attention to. If her budget is $5,000 and her quantity is basically based on whether or not she gets advertising. So if she gets advertising, it's 15% of 10,000 or 1,500. And if she doesn't get advertising, it's 9% of 10,000 or 900. The lowest amount that she's going to sell is 900. Now, if she orders 900 shirts, it will cost her $5,100. And if you look at the case, there is nothing else affecting the cost of there's nothing else affecting the cost of the number of shirts sold. So pretty much she's in a situation that no matter what, she can't order more than the $5,000 worth of shirts, which means she can't order more than, is it 880? Yeah, she can't order more than 880 shirts. So no matter what, she's not going to have shirts left over. So she doesn't need to worry about handling the rate at which she'll sell the things to the local shop unless she gets a greater budget. So there was a shortcut available to you. You could kind of sidestep the whole leftover shirts part of the problem and just jump straight into the rest of it. But I'm going to walk you through it anyway. Now, I've already built the solution. So when we look at this, what we have is the facts properly named, as we showed before. And what I did is I went ahead and added a little bit in here. So for instance, I gave the advertised and the non-advertised percentages and the actual sales based on those percentages. So this, of course, is 10,000 divided times 15%. And this, of course, is 10,000 times 9%. And then the initial cost is here. And what I did is I put a conditional formatting on it so that, and then you do that by going to the Home tab and going into formatting. Under conditional formatting, I can tell it to highlight the cell if the cell is greater than. So right now I already have one on here that says that if this cell is greater than the starting budget, then turn it red. So whenever I pick a shirts to order that's greater than, it gives me a number that ends up being greater than the vendor permit. I also have to get the vendor permit ahead of time. Forgot about that. It turns red. So right now I'm stuck in a situation where I can't get more than 800, 700. With these sets of decisions, I'm stuck in the realm of getting like 700 some odd shirts, but we can walk through it. So I have the price, which is between 10 or 50, advertise or don't advertise, Y or N, and shirts to order, which is the number of shirts that I'm ordering. And it drives the initial cost, which has to be less than 5,000. Now, what I did is I said that this is a decision. So based on whether this is a Y or an N, it either picks the 15,000 or the 900. It's a simple if statement. So it says if the do I advertise field is equal to Y, then pick shirt sales with ads. If not, pick shirt sales with no ads. Now I could have put equations here instead of these fields, but it makes it simpler to see it in this way. So right there I already know the maximum that I'm selling. Now I can only sell at the concert the amount that they say that I can sell at the concert. So I have to, between the shirts that I've ordered and the maximum quantity I can sell, whichever is least is how many I'm going to sell at the concert. So if the max I can sell at the concert is 1,500 and I order less shirts than that, then obviously I'm only going to sell 700 shirts because 700 is all I have. But even if I ordered 5,000 shirts somehow, because I borrowed the money, I can only sell a maximum of 1,500 at this concert, which is what this shows, and the rest have to be sold at discount. So that's how this spreadsheet is set up to handle that. So now the cost per shirt is also something that I can just bake that equation into something else, but I broke it out separately. And so the cost per shirt, if I advertise, part of my cost is a percentage of the price goes to the venue for allowing us to advertise on the tickets. So it's the cost per shirt plus the royalty plus the ad cost percentage times the price. So at a $50 price, that extra 5% is $2.50 per shirt that the venue gets, plus the $2 per royalty, plus the $5 for the shirt, which gives me $9.50. If, however, I don't advertise, then it's just the cost of the shirt plus the royalty, or $7. So finally, revenue is equal to the price times the quantity sold at the concert plus the discount price of the shirt times the quantity sold at discount. All of those together give me my revenue. My cost of goods sold is equal to my cost per shirt plus, oh, this is a mistake. It shouldn't be B5. It should be B3. So my cost of goods sold is the cost of the setup times the number of plus the number of shirts I ordered times the cost per shirt. And so finally, my gross profit is the difference between revenue and cost of goods sold. So I'm left with my expenses. I have the fixed part of my advertising expense, which was $500. My vendor permit, which was $575, would give me total fixed expenses of $1,075. My net profit is the difference between my gross profit and my total expenses. And my taxes is my net profit times the 35% tax rate that I created, leaving me my net profit after taxes of net profit minus taxes, or $38,400. Now, remember, at this quantity, she can't actually do her business at this level because the initial costs are $91.80. She can only get she can only order 665 shirts if she advertises. But there's no point in advertising because paying the extra expense and giving up the extra part of your profits, given that she can only sell less than the maximum without advertising, it doesn't make sense. So I say no. Well, let's go back and say yes. This is the maximum I can do advertising. It's the maximum price and the maximum number of shirts I can order. My total profit after taxes is $16,400 and some dollars. If instead I decide not to advertise, which means I can order more shirts, which gives me a total 765 shirts, gives me a total profit of $20,600. So clearly her decision is don't advertise, charge as much as you can for the shirts, and order 765 shirts because it's what she can order given the amount of money that she has on hand. This is the end of the solution.